Have you ever wondered about the reality of life in North Korea, one of the world's most secretive societies? North Korea, a nation shrouded in enigma, holds a reputation for its cloak and dagger regime. Its clandestine nature often obscures the true state of affairs from the global eye. It's crucial to shed light on these hidden facets, to unravel the mysterious threads that weave the fabric of this country. So buckle up your intellectual curiosity and prepare to delve into the lesser-known facts about this enigmatic nation. First, we must address the most glaring issue: the lack of freedom of information. Imagine living in a world where your access to information is severely limited, where the internet isn't a click away, and where the state controls every piece of news you consume. That's the reality for the people of North Korea, where the first of our 5 negative facts takes root: the lack of internet access. In North Korea, the internet as we know it is practically non-existent. Instead, there's Kwangmyeong, a state-controlled intranet that only offers a limited number of domestic websites, all of which are heavily monitored and censored. It's a stark contrast to the boundless World Wide Web most of us are accustomed to. Then there's the state-controlled media, the second negative fact. The government owns all broadcasting channels and print media, so the news is essentially the regime's mouthpiece, and any dissenting voice is ruthlessly suppressed. Independent journalism is a foreign concept here, and the people are left with no choice but to consume what's fed to them. This brings us to the third negative fact: the ban on foreign literature. Any material that isn't state-approved is strictly forbidden. This includes foreign books, movies, and music, effectively cutting off North Koreans from the cultural wealth of the wider world. Our fourth negative fact centers on the absence of academic freedom. The state dictates the curriculum in schools, ensuring that education serves as a tool for propaganda and indoctrination rather than fostering critical thinking and open debate. Lastly, we come to the fifth negative fact: the lack of travel freedom for citizens. North Koreans are not allowed to travel abroad without state permission, and even internal movement within the country is strictly controlled. This creates an environment of isolation and control, further deepening the regime's hold over its citizens. That's just the beginning. The control extends far beyond information. Now, let's turn our attention to the human rights violations occurring within the borders. Stepping into our first fact, North Korea is notorious for its prison camps, where an estimated 100,000 citizens are believed to be detained. These camps are often hidden in mountainous regions, far from the prying eyes of the world. The conditions within these camps are appalling. Prisoners are subjected to inhumane treatment, including torture, starvation, and forced labor. The second fact pertains to the use of public executions. North Korea wields this brutal method as a tool of fear and control. Crimes that can lead to public execution range from political dissent to seemingly mundane acts like watching foreign films. The public nature of these executions serves to instill fear and obedience among the population. Moving on to the third point, the lack of freedom of religion in North Korea is a significant human rights concern. The state promotes atheism and suppresses religious activities. Any form of religious expression can lead to persecution, including imprisonment. This suppression is part of a broader strategy to ensure absolute loyalty to the state. Our fourth fact delves into the forced labor system. North Koreans are often required to work long hours in state-controlled industries with little to no pay. This forced labor is not limited to adults. Even children are made to participate in labor-intensive tasks, denying them their right to education and childhood. Lastly, we address the widespread malnutrition among citizens. North Korea's economic policies have led to chronic food shortages. This has resulted in an alarming rate of malnutrition, particularly among children. The state's inability or unwillingness to address this issue is a grave violation of its citizens' right to food and health. These are not isolated incidents, but systematic violations happening on a daily basis. This grim reality of North Korea paints a picture far removed from the vibrant parades and grand statues that the regime showcases to the world. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of North Korea, let's not forget the plight of its people, who bear the brunt of these human rights violations. North Korea's military-first policy is another aspect that contributes to the harsh living conditions. This policy, known as Songun, is more than just a strategy. It's a way of life that permeates every aspect of North Korean society. Let's start with compulsory military service. In North Korea, every man and woman is required to serve in the military. Men must serve for at least 10 years, while women serve for at least 7. This compulsory service doesn't just take years of an individual's life. It also takes away opportunities for education, career advancement, and personal growth. Next, we have the prioritization of military spending over public welfare. Despite being one of the poorest countries in the world, North Korea spends a staggering amount of its budget on the military. This is at the expense of healthcare, education, and other essential public services, leading to a lower standard of living for its citizens. Then, there are the nuclear threats. North Korea's nuclear program is a constant source of tension and fear. The country has conducted several nuclear tests, each one more powerful than the last, and has threatened to use these weapons in international conflicts. The fourth point is North Korea's cyber warfare capabilities. The country has a dedicated army of hackers, known as the Bureau 121, which is suspected of being behind several high-profile cyber attacks. These attacks not only pose a threat to global security, but also represent a significant investment of resources that could be better used elsewhere. Finally, we come to the use of child soldiers. It's a grim fact that North Korea has been accused of recruiting children into its military. These children are subjected to harsh training and are often used as cannon fodder in conflicts. This military-first policy has severe implications for both the North Korean people and the world. It's a system that prioritizes warfare over welfare, power over people, and threats over diplomacy. It's not just a policy, it's a stark reminder of the lengths to which a regime will go to maintain its grip on power. Lastly, we'll look at the cult of personality that surrounds the Kim dynasty. The Kims aren't just leaders in North Korea, they're portrayed as quasi-deities. Their lives are shrouded in myth, with tales of supernatural births and superhuman feats. This myth-making serves a purpose. It elevates the Kims beyond the realm of ordinary humans and cements their place as the rightful rulers of North Korea. Then, there's the forced idolization. Citizens are required to show absolute loyalty and reverence to the Kims, often in the form of large public displays. Dissent is not tolerated, and the lack of political freedom means that any opposition is swiftly and brutally suppressed. This fear-based control mechanism is deeply woven into North Korean society, creating an environment where questioning the status quo is not just discouraged, it's dangerous. And sadly, there are no signs of change in the foreseeable future. This cult of personality is not just a political tool, it's a mechanism of control that permeates every aspect of North Korean life. We've covered some ground, haven't we? We've delved into the enigma that is North Korea, peered behind its iron curtain of information. We've shed light on the appalling human rights violations, the military-first policy, and the deeply ingrained cult of personality. Each of these facets paints a grim picture of a nation under severe and systematic oppression. Understanding these realities gives us the perspective necessary to appreciate the freedoms we often take for granted, and the importance of striving for a world where such conditions are a thing of the past.